Welcome to the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Podcast, episode 12. My name is Alina Warwick, and today I have a great honor to chat with Tsvetta Kaleynska, who came to the States when she was 20 years old from Bulgaria. She came to New York on a scholarship, and as a female all alone in a huge city, she had lots of struggles. In this episode, she explains that she didn't need to put a single dollar in her business when she started. And by the way, just wait until you hear how she started her business, because it just took me by surprise. Let's hear all about her struggles, how she worked with Fortune 500 companies, and how she started her successful immigrant entrepreneurial journey. Let's dive right in. Tsvetta, thank you so much for coming onto my show. I appreciate your time and your time out of your busy life. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Alina. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit about your immigrant journey. Tell us where you're from and when did you come to the States?
I came to America about 12 years ago. I am originally from Bulgaria, and I moved straight to New York City. Literally, that was my only goal. I wanted to pursue my dream of living abroad. And when I was growing up in Bulgaria, I was lucky enough to receive a scholarship to attend college, and I moved to Brooklyn. I have been in New York ever since, and I don't even look back. It's been one of the best decisions I made, and I am very lucky to be here. Though I do have to say, and I'm sure you can probably relate to that, I miss Bulgaria quite a bit.
And did you come by yourself on the scholarship, or did you have any family or friends that you came with?
No, I actually came by myself. My whole family still lives in Bulgaria. It was just one of those things growing up and obviously going through high school and puberty. I always just dreamt of something bigger for myself, and kind of being in the surroundings of a post-communist era in Bulgaria. It wasn't appealing enough for me to stay. So in the kind of like the latter years of my high school, I was sure that I wanted to apply to university abroad. And thankfully, Bulgaria was accepted in the European Union in 2007, which basically allows country members, including Bulgaria, and their citizens to freely move and live abroad for a specific purpose or a specific amount of time. So I had the option to study abroad in the Netherlands. I had gotten accepted in a few colleges there, as well as the UK. But I decided to make the leap to the US because I thought that was the furthest and most intriguing and exotic spot that I can go to, though it was also the hardest decision because being far away from family is very challenging, and also the currency calculator was telling me that financially basically it would be the most challenging move. But thankfully my family was super supportive, and I left them behind, and we agreed that I will go and try my luck and see if I can make it. And if I don't, they will find a way to bring me home. But they stayed behind, and I basically embarked on this journey by myself, which sometimes I look back and I question myself. How did I do that? How did I really move from another country to this huge city, cosmopolitan city? Mm-hmm. And, thankfully I spoke English, but I'm sure you and all of our listeners have heard about these crazy immigrant challenges that everyone would be, facing mm-hmm. coming into the U.S. around visas and basically how you can stay in the country legally. Mm-hmm. But you know what? There's always a way. And I'm thankful that I come from a family of loving parents and siblings who wished the best for me, and all of them very much encouraged me to go, even though I'm sure, and I know to this day, my mom deeply misses me and she does wish that I lived closer. But I guess it's the parents' duty to let their children do what's best for them, right?
Right. So you picked up English in Bulgaria?
I did. I could say I picked it up, but that would be technically a lie. I was super lucky to growing up to live in a very cute and touristy town in the middle of Bulgaria. My hometown is called Veliko Trnovo. It's a super popular destination nowadays on the Balkans. And in the 1990s, basically when I was growing up, there was an organization called Peace Corps that had a pattern of kind of like volunteer activities and a lot of events happening organized by Peace Corps volunteers. So that was kind of like one of the first interactions that I had with American people. And I became very ingrained in every single event there was in my hometown. I always went so I could practice my English with the volunteers. And my family worked and volunteered with an organization that is in the US called Kiwanis International. They're based out of Pennsylvania, or at least the kind of like chapter that my parents were volunteering with remotely. So Kiwanis International used to administer and ship these large, basically shipments of medication, clothing, food, baby formula, vitamins, rice, food, pasta, like you name it.
Wow.
So because back in the day, like you know how it was, but after communism, there was nothing.
Right.
So my parents were taking those shipments to local orphanages, and they supported the effort of Kiwanis International in Hanover, Pennsylvania, by taking those to the orphanages, working alongside with the orphanage directors to potentially identify children who would be a good fit for adoption. So I was very ingrained in a lot of various volunteer activities as a child, that all of them were somehow connected to English. So I did pick it up indeed very much from just being able to interact with Americans, whether that was over the phone or in person. But I do have to say that the effort that many, many people have put in my life, especially to help me learn English, is notable. And, you know, if anyone is listening from Peace Corps or Kiwanis International, you know, it is the effort of those kind people who have helped me learn English. But yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to learn it with the help of others.
Awesome. And what kind of scholarship did you come on? What did you study?
Yeah, I got the academic scholarship to a tiny college in Brooklyn, New York. The college's name is St. Francis. And I pursued business administration and marketing, international marketing. I was always interested in kind of like negotiations and sales and marketing, and that was what I was passionate about, and I still am very passionate about. And I basically, when I moved here, I decided to do like multiple majors. So I just kept on adding more and more classes and taking even more classes than I possibly could imagine. But that really helped me better understand what I wanted to do as an adult. And the college that I went to was so small that it provided me with the ability to meet all the staff and really feel welcome, especially as an international student with no family around. So it worked out great. I mean, I genuinely think that these study abroad programs are one of the best things that could happen to adolescents. So yeah, I totally loved it.
And how old were you when you came out to New York?
I was almost 20, so I'm not going to say how old I am. I'm kidding.
Oh my goodness, you were a baby.
I was going to say I was technically older than almost all my peers, because I think kids here go to college way earlier. So everyone's like, oh, you're 20? Did you repeat a class? Like what? Yeah.
No. I mean, I gotta say, coming at 20 years old as a female to New York, that's a success by itself. So
it was, I had some crazy moments where I was like, oh my God, what did I do with my life? Like, I just want to go home and, you know, be close to my mom. But then obviously if you don't challenge yourself, what would you become?
Right. So what was it like growing up in Bulgaria?
Great question. So it was very, I'm sure, different in many ways, interesting in many ways, challenging in many ways. I grew up in a family that was relatively successful. So obviously, I wasn't like at the bottom of kind of like the chain. But because Bulgaria was a communist country until 1989, and I was born in 1988, basically growing up, I saw a lot of dark stages in the 90s. So that's kind of all I remember. I mean, just similar to you and to your story, being on welfare. Back in the day, everyone was on welfare. And I remember just being on endless lines, waiting with my grandma to get a loaf of bread or a little bit of cooking oil or eggs or flour. I mean, there was just nothing in stores, nothing, absolutely nothing. So I have a lot of these memories, which made me as a kid sad and bittersweet and maybe hateful in many ways. But growing up, those moments and memories actually made me stronger and made me more motivated, if that makes sense. But then after the 90s were kind of over, the 2000s definitely brought more optimism, a lot more help from foreign nations, including obviously the America and the Western countries, a lot of just scholarships and more opportunities definitely penetrated the country. And I was always seeking more and more and more in terms of what else can I do? What other class can I participate in? Is there maybe an event happening in my town that I could be part of? And I just craved more and I wasn't getting it. Growing up was great to be in a tiny town, totally unexposed to, in many ways, danger. Now, as an adult living in America, I realized that I was lucky enough to grow up in a place where, there were strong principles among the society and among the community. And I was in many ways protected by the same community. Now if I have a kid and that grows up here in New York, I'd probably be freaked out at every moment of the day where there would be versus, I remember being 6 years old and walking home 40 minutes from my school to my house because there were no buses. And I knew the way home for 40 minutes walking. And I don't know how my parents would just let me walk on my own, not worried about anything. But so it definitely had its pros and cons, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful for having grown up there and having been on both spectrums of having food on the table and not having food on the table. So I could appreciate everything that I have worked for and I have been given, or maybe I have been granted or helped with. And to also, give me a boost of motivation and energy and optimism to want to achieve more and not, settle for anything less, but basically success. And last but not least, to consider how I can make a dent in our world and how I can help others achieve their dreams, because I was helped by many good people. So I feel like it is my duty to pass it on to the next person.
So powerful. I love it. So, Tsvetta, tell me about the struggles that you had to go through when you first immigrated to the States.
Well, when I think of struggles, to be honest with you, two things come to mind. Obviously, all of us have struggles in one way or another, but when I moved, there was obviously the financial struggle because once again, the currency is totally different, and one Bulgarian currency, lev, basically, equals to not even a full dollar, not even half a dollar. So coming with very little, and also being restricted in my ability to work because I was on a student visa. I wasn't allowed to work. So I had to make ends meet with very little. And New York City is a very expensive city. And I learned that the hard way. So that was a huge challenge. But again, like if you're able to overcome it, it kind of makes you stronger and makes you very resilient. So I was in many ways, again, thankful that I didn't come with much. But then the second big struggle that I could think of at all times was my visa struggles. So the immigration journey that many of us have to take is challenging because the immigration system is very tough in America if you do things the legal way or the right way. So I came on a student visa, and that visa has a specific time stamp on it, meaning you can only live in America for, X number of years. As I mentioned before, you cannot work, or you can only work on campus where basically you get paid $7 an hour or whatever the minimum wage was at the time. And then you have to figure out how, if you want to stay in America, how can you do that? And there are very just limited ways and possibilities to do that. And they are only related to either getting a job or a good job sponsor who is willing to go through the whole procedure for you, which is a very complicated procedure, by the way, or getting married. And I was just very much set on the fact that I did not want to get married. I just knew that was not for me, and I wanted to do things the right way. I wanted to earn my stay in America, and I basically, for many years, maybe even until 3 years ago, I was just constantly in this battle with the kind of immigration services, because the battle was more in my head and with me and my morals, making sure that I stay on the legal side, I do things the right way, and I earn my stay. So yeah, those are the two big challenges that I think made me who I am, and I'm thankful for them, because they each struggle kind of brought to me different knowledge, different networks, and different opportunities.
Awesome. Did you stay in the dorm when you first came, or did you stay in an apartment?
Yeah, so there were no dorms. The dorms that were provided at the college, St. Francis College, were basically just for basketball, volleyball, and sporting students who came on a scholarship, because New York City they didn't have that much real estate. So I had to find my own place to live and figure out my way of commuting. And yeah, it was a mayhem. Looking back, I'm like, I have no idea how I did this. I've changed so many apartments, huge struggles with the living situation. And yeah, at all times, that is something on your mind, kind of like hunting you. Like, where are you going to live? If they increase the rent, when, how can you move? Where would you move to? Where is safe to live? Where you can get a cheap apartment? So
awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Tsvetta, were you raised in an entrepreneurial family? Did your parents give you any advice regarding entrepreneurship?
My parents actually were not entrepreneurs. My dad is a doctor and my mom is a university professor, so neither one of them was an entrepreneur. But they both had one thing in common, which they kind of instilled in me, and that was dream big. And I think that's honestly the first step for entrepreneurs. Dreaming bigger and not giving up are the two qualities that they definitely instilled in me. So the entrepreneurship journey and dream and goal really came about when I was graduating college. And I knew that I wanted to do something different than my peers. Of course, I wasn't ready for such move at the time, but over the years, with the experience I gained, I was able to make better informed decisions on what kind of business I'd like to have and how to develop it, how to start it, how to run it, how to fund it, how to find the clients, and basically better understand the whole entrepreneurship journey.
So before you tell our listeners about how you opened your company, tell me a little bit about the path you took. Did you try to go into any other fields before starting your business?
Yes, actually, I have been in quite a few fields. I have always, when I went to school for business, I just always knew I wanted to do something with contract negotiation, with selling, cross-selling, with, technologies, softwares. Obviously, when I graduated in 2012, there was kind of like the boom of all the apps and softwares, and I knew I wanted to be part of that. or somehow related to that. So I did go through the kind of like journey of testing out what worked best for me based on my skill set and based on my interests. And I started my journey first at a media agency, again, focusing on digital marketing. Then I kind of transitioned into the software field, and I've been around. I explored quite a few different options. I gained the most best possible experience I could before I could embark on the journey. And all the jobs and positions that I held helped me really narrow down what I enjoyed doing, what I was good at, and what I thought could be a viable business.
So did you start different businesses before the one that you currently have?
Well, technically, no.
Okay.
I registered, that was the kind of like first business that I registered, but I have been part of many businesses that are not mine, but I have been part of like the formation
Got it.
and scaling of organizations. So I kind of like saw the path. I do, however, have a very much kind of like founder role in a leadership academy, which is a nonprofit female empowerment academy in Bulgaria. And I have been part of that academy for many, many years. So I have had the experience of starting an organization and seeing it scale on the nonprofit end.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your company and what it does.
I would love to tell you more about my company.
Okay.
So a few years ago, I was working in a software company that was focused on social media and analytics. And I loved the company. I loved my employer. I loved my clients. But I realized that while I enjoy kind of working on the software end, there are possibilities that clients, and especially client needs, that could be explored. And I thought that should be my consulting business. I should go after what my clients are asking me about or what they dream, which is all big clients, Fortune 500 clients that I have worked with, all of them told me, we want to be empowered with cutting edge technology. So basically cutting edge software technology, but we want someone to be able to provide us with insightful research and reporting. And when you basically work with different vendors, that wasn't an offer that was available. Most of the time, if you're a big Fortune 500, you hire a company and they either do the software, and then you have to go and get an agency to do all the research and the work. So I was like, well, why don't I just do that? I can actually do the whole spectrum of providing the clients with the data and working, because I'm technical, I'm a female in tech, and I could help them interpret the data and analyze it, turn it into insightful and powerful actions and decisions for their businesses, and translate it into kind of like an easy language. Because not everyone is an analyst. Not everyone can write super complicated queries or analyze huge data sets, right? So I was like, I have all this skill set, and I need to do something with it. So basically, I'm a data expert using cutting edge technologies and providing clients with insightful research. And the consultancy that I established is called Rila Global Consulting. I named it after the tallest mountain in Bulgaria because I was looking to achieve high successes and peak, the peak of every single mountain. Wow. And Rila is basically a next generation consultancy using various types of artificial intelligence softwares to grow and to educate brands. We harness various data sets and softwares and process millions of data points, and we create basically actionable business recommendations. We provide clients with insights for multiple use cases that they can take, including marketing, PR, sales, mergers and acquisitions, new product ideation, financial risk, and many others. And we work, ever since I basically embarked on this journey, we've worked with a bunch of Fortune 500 customers, with many international agencies and various industry experts. So that's kind of like in a nutshell sell who we are and what we do. But when I started it, I didn't really know what was going to happen. I was just like, I'm just going to start a business and register it and basically tell all my friends that I have a business now. And what ended happening was the kind of people who had worked with me, who knew that I was a hard worker and who were happy with previous work that I had done, instantly reached out and said I would be interested in hearing more. And also an ex-coworker of mine from the same software company that kind of felt the same pain points that I had started another business independently I had no idea about. So we actually decided to kind of like merge our powers because we're both two magical females in tech. So we kind of embarked on the journey together. And it's been amazing. I've been so blessed because I'm achieving my dream of being an entrepreneur, but also being surrounded by super strong females who have started from nothing and who are also entrepreneurs. So we are doing this together, and it's so rewarding, and honestly, it's just empowering.
Wow, what an amazing story.
Thank you.
So powerful too. You basically found a hole in the market and you kind of developed it, but you didn't see the entire picture. And when you kind of launched your business, you kind of morphed into what other people were asking or driving towards that type of solution. Is that what I'm hearing?
Spot on, Alina. Absolutely. So what I did was reach out to people and I told them, hey, I'm starting a business. Do you have a few minutes to connect? And I connected with many various people. So from CEO level to analyst level. And I asked the same question to everyone, like, what do you think is missing in the industry right now? And they said, well, there are great softwares and there are great, companies and there are great strategies, but there are no good kind of like packaged options for a company to go to one single vendor who can help them deploy these technologies, but who can also help them create these insightful research and findings. And I heard that over and over and over again. And basically people said, hey, if you do that, we know you can deploy the technology. You've done it before, but if you want to do that, like we'll hire you in a heartbeat. Because everyone wants to keep their services only with one vendor and not have to find 5 different vendors for the same, for similar efforts. So yeah, that's what I did. People told me what they need and I listened, and it turned out that people were correct.
Amazing. And you kept on climbing up that really large mountain.
I just kept on walking. There's this expression from Rumi. I don't know what the exact quote is, but basically, once you start walking on a path, the path will appear. So I didn't have a path. I just had an idea. And of course, as every entrepreneur, there are multiple struggles, but I just kept on walking that path and it did appear in front of me. So awesome. I am still walking it.
Awesome. I love it. So how old were you when you first started your business?
I was 30 when I officially started the business, so to say.
Amazing. I love it. So did you have to raise any capital to start your business?
Well, that's a wonderful question, especially because I know that many entrepreneurs are listening. I did not. So I had the option of, I think if you're raising capital, it's super applicable if you're a startup that is developing a technology and you need to hire, say, a product or a data engineer to help you basically build the app. So I said, oh my God, like, I don't want to invest money into something that I'm not even sure is going to work or could be a repetitive idea of someone else. I could get killed on the market, super competitive. So I was looking for an idea of a company where I don't need to put in any money. And what I did was I decided that, if this business went well or started well, then I will just focus on establishing a second business and then a third business. And I didn't put a single dollar in it. I just put in my time. I had the option of hiring people to do kind of like things for me and help me set it up and help me set up my website and, the kind of like basics, do sales for me or do design stuff for me. But I did it the cheap way. I was like, I'm just going to put in my time And I was technical enough to be able to do all of the above on my own. And that was great because basically every single thing, every single project that I got from the first penny was revenue and earnings. So I highly recommend that if people are embarking on this journey and they're thinking about it, don't do maybe have your first business something, easy, something where you don't have to invest a lot or anything, and then take it easy, do one company, see how it goes, because there are a lot of struggles as an entrepreneur. And then if you feel like you can make it and your idea is still viable and you still want to execute it, then maybe consider putting in a little investment and seeking extra investment. There are plenty of options for additional investment, both from independent sources, hedge funds, like you name it. So I highly recommend people kind of like put a thought into it before starting the business, because you don't want to start with a minus in front of finances from day one when you don't even know what's going to happen, right?
Right. So did you work on that business launch during the time that you were working at the software company, or did you quit and you kind of had some savings and then you launched your business?
Yeah, so I decided to quit, obviously.
Wow.
Well, there are a few different, people have to be very careful when you're starting a business. So I wanted to make sure that I quit my company, because you have specific periods of like non-disclosures and non-competes and all of that stuff. So yeah, I quit. I took a year off, traveled a little bit, went to Bulgaria a few times, spent some time with family. It was lovely. And I was just gathering ideas of what I wanted to do. I actually did not think that I was going to start a business. I thought I was just going to take some time off from my previous job. But what ended up happening was a few different companies had reached out to me during the time and asked me to freelance for them. And that freelancing, I just said, well, it makes sense that I just open a business, a freelancing business. And that's kind of how it started. So again, I walked the path that didn't exist, but then it appeared in front of me and I just followed it.
Awesome. I love it. I love that story. Tsvetta, what do you think most prepared you to launch your business and to continue the growth of your business?
Definitely education. And books and, reading and all kinds of educational resources, as well as life experience. So I think if I had started this business 10 years ago, right out of college, it wouldn't have made sense for me, because I know so much more right now. I've been through, various types of businesses and roles and situations. So I definitely think that all the experience in my life has just like helped me better understand different markets and positioning and strategies and sales and whatever else not. But life, I think, prepares you the best. So highly recommend that, people just kind of always stay on their toes and read the news and seek additional informational resources on whatever topic they're most passionate about. And yeah, education is your best friend. And there's so many free resources online these days that you can just get it all from online. You could just listen to how other people did it and maybe try to copy it and see where you go from there. Maybe it'll work.
I love it. Did you have any mentors that helped you out to start your business?
Absolutely, yes. I have had a few mentors in my life in the last, especially 12 years since I moved to the US, and they have been a tremendous just assistance and shoulder to cry on, and they've helped me so much. Actually, both of them are females, very, very strong and successful females. And I've learned so much from them. And honestly, I wouldn't have done it without either one of them.
Amazing. I love it. And how did you find them? Is it just through networking?
Yep, networking. And one of them is actually from a previous employment. I knew her husband, and the husband said, "Oh my God, like my wife would absolutely love meeting you." And as soon as I met his wife, we totally hit it off. And yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm really interested to know, how do you look at failures and how do you overcome them?
Well, failures, I think, are your friend. It's about how you handle failures. We all fail at every point of our life, maybe sometimes daily. And I honestly think it's about just staying calm and reassessing the failure and why that happened. If it was something internal, maybe perhaps that you didn't think about, whether it was that you let emotions come in, or maybe an external factor. So I think the best way to overcome them is to just really take a step back and think about what happened, and realize that without the failure, or without many failures, we wouldn't be growing. We would just get stale. So I accept failures, and I think they're actually a good thing. I would stay on the safe side. I think failures are dangerous when they are related to financial situations. So that's why I say, like, for entrepreneurs starting a business, you will probably start 10 businesses before your business is successful. So make sure that financially you don't put in anything that you can't afford in those businesses, because there will be many failures along the way, and you don't want to lose anything besides time and effort.
Did you say besides time and effort?
Yeah, I think those are the two things that it's like, those are yours. They're yours to keep. But yeah, you don't want to lose. Financial failures, I think, are the hardest, and people should have at least one, so they know how hard, how hard they are. But yeah, they should be very considerate and just always reassess your failures and what caused them, and maybe learn for next time what you can do better.
Awesome. I love that. So, Tsvetta, let's chat a little bit about successes, a little bit on a higher note. But before you get to answer the question, I just wanted to say one thing. The reason why I ask about successes is to show the immigrants that they can do it too. So, with that, I'll leave it up to you to share whatever success you would like with our listeners.
Successes to me come in many ways, shapes, and forms. But the biggest one that I would probably share is just being happy and being content with yourself. So success for me is measured in, how do I feel today? Or how do I feel this year? Or how do I feel this month? Have I completed my dreams? Have I met my goals and objectives? Have I slept enough? Have I read a book? Basically, what makes me happy? And the more I realize that the happier you are as a human being, and the more kind of like relaxed you are, the more success you will have across the board in your business, in your personal life, in your friendships. So to me, that's the biggest success. And of course, health, which we are given, that's a gift. To being successful means to be able to wake up every day and to appreciate everything you've earned, and to be happy.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is giving back, either volunteering time or giving back to the community, something part of your business values?
Yes, absolutely. Not only part of my business values, but part of me as a human being. So I actually volunteer. I'll start off with sharing a little bit about the business. So when I started Rila, I decided that I would like to give back to the community in some way or the other. So we are committed as a business to female empowerment, to education, social impact, and internet safety, especially for adolescents. So we do conduct charitable work for nonprofit organizations who are committed to any of the aforementioned, but have basically limited resources to conduct social media analytics in-house. So on our website, we always encourage people to go and apply as an organization to our biannual scholarship, which is called Rila for the World. It's in the shape of a grant, and if selected, biannually, we basically have, organizations that we work with We assist them with implementation of social media listening. We provide bespoke deep dives or mentorship or whatever they need. So as a business, that is part of our structure. We do account for actually quite a bit of our work to be as a grant or donated. And then in my personal life, I volunteer with an organization called Girls Leading Our World, or for short called GLOW. The organization is a Peace Corps legacy project in Bulgaria, a unique 7-day experience that is aimed at helping young Bulgarian girls aged 14 to 18 to reach their potential and basically develop them as future leaders. I was part of this organization when I was very young, when I was 14, and I still give back to the organization in multiple shapes and forms. So I do volunteer quite heavily with them nowadays, more virtually because of the COVID situation, but I'm super passionate about volunteering. And I think that businesses must at all times kind of like have a charity that they support, but not financially, but actually with presence and in-person efforts, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that a lot of the immigrants that come through and that are helped in so many ways by other people, when they do start their businesses, they end up giving it back in so many different ways. And I think it's so powerful to see that. And I think it is a driving force for their successes because it's just a circle of life, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I cannot agree more with you.
Amazing. So, Tsvetta, what are some things that you would advise the next aspiring immigrant that wants to start their own business listening to you right now?
I would just encourage them to never stop dreaming and honestly to just do it. There's nothing preventing them from being successful in this country. I do think America is by far the best country for entrepreneurs, and I highly encourage them to just kind of ignore the noise and go ahead and do it. There's honestly not much to lose besides a few fees and registration, with the state. And if you don't try it, you will never know what you've missed. And I highly, highly encourage everyone to just believe in themselves. Again, ignore the noise and just follow your heart and follow your dreams.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So to wrap up, I have super fast questions. Are you okay with that?
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. What time do you normally start your day?
7 a.m.
Awesome. How many employees do you have?
2.
How often do you watch TV in a week?
Well, now with COVID, almost nonstop. but before, I'd probably say maybe maximum 40 minutes a day.
Awesome. And how many hours do you work in a day typically?
12.
But then it's not really work, it's your passion, right? So it's not really just grinding through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like it's 9 p.m. right now, and I've been working all day. And as soon as we hang up, I'm actually going to continue working. So it's because I want to. I enjoy it. I feel like it's amazing. It's super empowering that I have so much work, and I'm blessed to be working, especially now with all the kind of like situation in the world. So it's because I want to, and I love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tsvetta, for coming on my show. You are a true inspiration to so many immigrants out there. You started from the very bottom. You came here all by yourself, and that is such a powerful story to hear. So I really appreciate your time, and I'm sending you warm wishes and many, many more successes. And you're doing such an amazing job changing the world out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alina, for the great opportunity. It's been awesome talking to you, and good luck to you and all the awesome entrepreneurs out there.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And hey, guys, I just wanted to ask if you can give me a quick shout out wherever you're listening to this podcast at whatever platform you're on. I'd love to give you a shout out as well on a future episode of mine. So stay tuned for more exciting episodes. I'll see you guys all next time for another exciting and impactful episode. Take care.